Carmen and I are here. This is my beautiful lizard, Carmen. She's a bearded dragon, but we were doing face painting, and she was on the table, so we all got face painted. And then it turns out it's water soluble, so please skip me the hate mail. It rinses right off in water, and we rinsed it off, and then we applied it again because it turns out you take a soft little, I never knew this, who knew? See, if I didn't paint my lizard, I would never have any idea how much she liked to be rinsed off with a little toothbrush. But it turns out she loves it, and I wound up taking her in the shower with this really soft little, a toothbrush, and boy, she really got into it. So now I'll just paint her anytime. Anytime we're doing face paint, because we really had a pretty good time doing that, and she liked it lots. She really did. And then we took pictures of her, and now she's a rainbow lizard. In the short term, it comes right off. But I also didn't know she liked showers that much, and it turned like I'll give her a bath sometimes. Like I have put her in very shallow water in the tub, but I was in the shower, so I just put her in the not near the drain, but like I'm standing between the water. Why am I talking about this? But it turns out she really likes a sprinkle of water. So that's what we're doing now. That's the update of our house. Okay. So I also don't know how long she's going to stay on my shoulder. She might want to go sit on the chair. I'll see how she does. So is it Saturday today, right? Yeah, Saturday. Okay. So this morning, I knew I was going to do a live stream today, and per usual, if you've listened to any of my live streams, you know that I've got tons of these pads of paper, and all my stuff starts out all organized. And I thought, well, what I really want are some visual aids, because I need to talk about the energetic construct, and there's so many updates and all of this information is coming in. So, hi, Camille. So I started to do some visual aids, and per usual, things are just coming in out of the blue, and it starts, you think it's going to be one thing, and there's a sharp adjustment. So there are a lot of sharp adjustments. So we're in this period of time in, I was going to say human history, but it's really Earth history. It's Earth history. Really extraordinary times. So I got a lot of updates regarding, basically I was interrupted a lot because I kept getting downloads about immediate things that are happening. There has, oh, you know what? Before I even get going on that, yeah, I'm going to do this first. I'm going to take this opportunity to clear any negative energies that may be hanging around on this live stream. Now and going forward, including anytime anyone listens to it in the future, whenever they tune in. I would like to cancel, clear, delete any and all negative influences, negative energies, anything that may arise, any negativity of any kind through all timelines, dimensions, realities. Clear, cancel, delete. Also, from a place of empowerment, I'm choosing to call, I've never done this before, I'm choosing to call in protective, all the benevolence in the universe to assist us with fortifying the positive intent, intensifying the light of every listener so that any and all darkness is cast out. And I want to be able to speak freely and have anything that may come up to be released simply be released without discomfort. And I'm calling for anything that may need to be released to simply be released without providing any kind of an entranceway for any dark attack. So be it, so be it, so be it, amen. The reason I'm calling that in, hi, Tiffany. Recently, I'm just aware that there has been, I just wanted to protect everyone on this call. There have been a certain amount of predatory and deliberately interfering dark forces. I had a lot of those for several years, really extremely heavy dark attack. They're not completely all gone. I'm not being attacked the way I was, but I'm aware that in the, I don't even know who it's landing on, but I'm aware that there's one couple and at least one other woman that I know they watch these, and I'm just blasting that back to you with consciousness. No vengeance whatsoever, because that would only get magnified, but I'm sending it right back to you. You're not going to get fed from doing that anymore, what you've been doing. I would strongly suggest getting on the Ascension bus and stop interfering. It's actually going to work to your benefit. I promise it's going to work to your benefit. And for these people, what you're afraid of, you're imagining things to be a lot worse than they are. And you're not in danger the way you expect. You know, you feel basically the people that have been doing a certain amount of stalking of me are seeing the situation through their own eyes. So they're imagining things to be very threatening when they're not actually. The threat is not what you think it is. The threat is actually you. It's your own behavior. It's not, she's going behind my neck. Hi. Want to go sit in the chair? You go sit over there. There you go. There she is. Yeah. So that said, all of a sudden the energy is really, really hot all of a sudden. Okay. So I was going to talk, oh, should I talk about that? All right. Things come in. You know how this goes. As soon as I think I'm going to have to go get a fan, all of a sudden it's extremely hot. I wonder if it has anything to do with that. Certain amount of resistance there. Just a second. I'm very protective of my family. All my family. So don't do it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to have, I'm not going to do anything stupid, like anything like, like vengeance or dark forces. But if you recognize the way it actually works, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do what you're doing. I feel like for some reason I should just mention this. I need to get a tissue. 1 second. I had a tissue. Here it is. And I dropped it. There comes a point where when you're aware of certain things in the fourth dimension, it's very hard to tell them apart because they mirror so closely. One of the things that happens, especially in the fourth dimension, where there's so much turmoil right now, there's a tremendous amount of turmoil there. You know, the fourth dimension is like where you reach with, it's like the low level spirit realm that basically, sorry, I'm really extremely hot all of a sudden. This doesn't feel like a hot flash. It feels like something in the air. I think I pissed someone off. I might go I don't know, I might have to go get the fan. I'm gonna go get the fan now. Yeah, 1 second. I'm sorry. Be right there. Sorry about that. What? Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. You got it. There we go. She was going up to her windowsill. All right. You can hear Tosh in the background too. I hope he's gonna be all right. We're having a thunderstorm. He's terrified. He's like one of the world's worst, most terrified of thunder and rain. Like he's even scared when it just lightly mists outside. So if there's any kind of a disturbance, he really feels it. Incredibly sensitive dog. All right, so the fourth dimension. So we're getting a transmission. I can make plans, but that doesn't mean they're going to let me keep them. And then I'm going to get to the Lemurian crystals too, because I definitely want to do that today. Hang on. A lot of shifting. I'll just finish this one point before I continue. Please go lie down. The fourth dimension is, it's not like it's a place, but as you dial up in frequency, the fourth dimension is semi-solid. It's the realm of where ghosts and spirits are. There are many spirits, but the fourth dimension is kind of where you begin to, things begin to solidify. It's the beginning of the timeline. You know how ghosts will, if you've ever seen a ghost or had experience with them, I should do a whole thing on ghosts sometime. But you know how sometimes like they're there and then they vanish? Time is different. It's kind of like every, you know, third or fifth frame of a film strip or something. It's like they don't get a continuous, it just comes and goes the way the form there comes and goes. And where after you die, the realm where you first go and you kind of linger around, like right at, find a spot, buddy. Come on. Go find a spot. Or otherwise I'm going to have to put you back in the bedroom where I just took you off your leash. He wants to be really in my lap, especially when it rains, but all he's going to do is drool and pee. So the last live stream when it was, we had those fireworks, which incidentally, I was talking about the 3-to-1 ratio. And if you go back and listen to the last live stream, it was boom, boom, boom. And then there was a long pause and it went boom. So we had a 3-to-1 ratio of fireworks too, which was interesting. I only noticed that when I replayed it. Please go lie down. Otherwise, I will have to put you alone in the room, and you peed on my bed the last time, so no. When you die, when you first leave your body, usually, seriously, buddy, get your head, you're drooling on me. Nope, he's gonna have to go. Sorry. Sorry. Come on. Here you go. Sorry. When you first leave your body, when you die, you don't go all the way up into another realm immediately. Usually you linger around you linger in the fourth dimension. And, it's kind of a little bit of a holding pen. There are places in areas in the third dimension, which even the third dimension, like every dimension has its own strata. But even the third dimension, in the fourth dimension, there are areas where it's more of like a holding area, kind of like where you wait for while you're making adjustments and getting yourself settled, and it's a little bit, sometimes a little bit like a train station. Like while you're waiting, there are just areas where you wait, and then there's also places where a lot of activity goes on, and this is the realm where there's a lot of like figuring out where people are going to go. The dark side and the light side, like the archons and the archangels, it's not like that's their center, really, but a lot of their work takes place there. You try to get your people to where there's, get your assorted people off into where they're supposed to go, and then there's also a lot of waiting. So what I started to say was around like Ouija boards and things like that. The first basically the fourth dimension is also dark and light, very polarized, the same way the third dimension is. It's kind of like the echo version. So when you do something like a Ouija board, and I don't mean tarot cards, I mean, a lot of people group things like that together. No, they're totally different. If you work on something like a Ouija board, which I never recommend, especially for children, will you contact a spirit? Yeah, very likely you will. But it's like hitchhiking, because if you have no idea what you're doing, you think it's a game, and usually there's like this whole spooky kind of idea about it, like a seance, and usually it's like a tool for novices, and they'll turn down the light and they'll make everything really spooky. And so it's like they're cultivating a state of fear. And then they're like, hey, be a vibrational match to me. But they don't know that. They don't know that that's the way it works. So they're not, they don't know anything about setting the vibrational atmosphere for success to like get actual high level guidance. It's possible that you'll get your grandmother with a Ouija board, or you'll contact a benevolent spirit who can actually give you answers, but it's totally hit or miss. You really have to know what you're doing. And if you really know what you're doing, you're not going to use a Ouija board, because it just kind of draws in things from the lowest level of spirit communication, which is the fourth dimension. What you really want to do is establish a contact with your own highest self, your higher self, and then you connect with that, and then you're going to get your guidance directly, so you're not going to need a Ouija board. So I really don't recommend using them. Where was I going with this? Oh, but I started to say this is where the fourth dimension is where a lot of reptilians work from, and negative entities will work from that realm in order to escape their karma. They know that if they land completely, they're usually going to get hit with all the karmic crap that they're trying to avoid, because they know that's the realm where things are experienced. So they try to avoid doing it. So it's difficult. Like, I know in my position, when I get certain information, and what always I always ask myself is that me? Because I'm not attached. Like, I know that I'm very polarized too, and I'm not attached to, I'm really not grounded either. For the same reason, like, because I hate it down here. I never come down to the third dimension really to be embodied. I can't stand it. Cancel. I'm working on it, but there is a protective mechanism that a lot of us who have done like major spiritual warfare on both sides, we tend to have this real resistance to landing. It's not that you don't do it. You have to keep a body down here. You know, you have to eat. You have to land it, anchor it in a body. But it's funny the way it works. I was going to talk about the energetic construct. A lot of people aren't going to have this problem. Like, I'm just kind of giving you information that may not apply to you, but a lot of it does. So let me talk about the Lemurians before. I'm trying to finish my first point. My point is there was or has been this is spiritual war. Even though we have already won. Remember how I said in the toroidal field of the earth, a lot of things have not landed into form yet. Like, there's still a lot of crap going on. And the victory is absolute in the timeline. It's absolute. It's definitely coming in, no question about it. That doesn't mean that we're experiencing the victory yet. There's still an awful lot that's going on. So there's still a lot of dark attack, eruptions of anger. Even though the way it works is that there are certain beings that are very resistant to death. The dark being one of them. Oddly enough, it's funny because a lot of like, I love death. I absolutely love it. I find it to be a tremendous release. It feels like, yeah, it's release. It's absolutely wonderful. But you know, have you ever watched anything die that didn't want to? That was fear-based? There's almost, they get like this stronger fight. It's like a death rattle or something, where there's like a sudden extra hard fight when they, like, even if they know they've lost. Not all beings are like that, but a lot of them are. It's like, it's so funny if you've ever watched things die. I've watched a lot of death, actually. And one interesting thing, I always think this is funny. I've noticed it before. You know, herding animals or prey species in general, they tend to die. They tend to die very easily. And I don't mean that's a gross generalization. But like, sheep die at the drop of a hat. I mean, it's really, really hard to keep a sheep alive. They get the faintest whiff of injury. They're like, forget it. There's like no will to live in a sheep at all. I've had goats that were the same way, but then I've also had one or two goats that, like, I was surprised that it seems to be like 50-50. And then horses are that way too. You can get some horses that like, they've decided to leave. There's certain animals just die very, very easily. Cottontail rabbits. I used to be a wildlife rehabilitator for a while, and cottontail rabbits, they're one of the harder things to rehabilitate, simply because no matter how gingerly you approach them, any interference at all, it's not like a domestic rabbit. Like a domestic rabbit, you can bottle feed and they come out fine. Cottontail rabbits, it's just like, it's like you blow on them and they just die. Cancel. I'm open to that changing. I'm not trying to have anything die, but there are just certain species that have no problem with death, and they're just very happy. They release very easily. And they tend to be more like the prey species. I have kind of seem to have that programmed in, like, all right. And then there are others that really fight tooth and nail, and you just can't even believe that this thing is still, how is it possible that you are still alive after what you've been through? And we're having a lot of that on the planet right now, where like the dark has been just anchored in. And they're not given up easily. They know that due to where we are in the galaxy, they have lost. They're anyway. We're experiencing a lot of dark attack, and there's also a certain number, a certain amount of karma. This is where a lot of the negative experiences that are being felt by so many people. Where it suddenly seems like what you thought, because the karmic purge is so heavy at this time. Remember how I said like the first layer of light, like the first wave, we went through it the first, we cut through the densest of it, but we kind of did our deepest clearing first. But there are fewer of us. The second wave is the largest, and this is where we need to really focus. Like there's a lot of collective purging that's happening with kind of like uninitiated. I'm running out of words. Hang on a second. Untutored, like they're spiritual, more or less spiritual beginners. They're like the really old souls who've been on this path for a really long time, are really focused on clearing, and we've just been doing this work very intensely for a long duration. So we broke through the thickest crust, but now it's our job to help the largest wave, who are kind of newly awakening. Usually their ancestral bloodlines are not as heavy with darkness as some of those of us who went first, who are just clearing some of these ancestral patterns were just intense lineage of horror on all levels. So in some ways, it's easy to look back. What's the word? I don't want to say look down on them. It's as difficult for them to do what they're doing as it was for us to do the heavier stuff. But we're kind of older and stronger, and we're more experienced, so we know more. Which takes me to this diagram, which I'm going to talk about in a minute because Cherie's on. So I'm going to do this part first, and then go back to what I was talking about. Because we've experienced, this was the segue actually. There has been a very significant dark attack on the particular soul group that I came down in, which was about half dark and half light. And there was a very significant dark attack. We were supposed to have accomplished something by now that was supposed to, and it still will. Our job is to flip the systems, the actual institutions, educational, financial, specifically, flip the systems. So we are considered such a threat if the two primary placeholders, the one from the dark and the one from the light side, when we merge, it was considered such a major threat that there was a significant, I hear him whining, there was a very significant, intentional targeted they tried to make sure that we couldn't do what we came to do. So we're still going to do it because we have to. And that's not why. It's because we love it, because we came here to do it. That's the whole point. So we're going to do that. There is a sequence to it. And yeah, there's a sequence to it. And I'm going to talk about that. But one of the things that it stopped for the last 6 years, we're about 6 years behind schedule. And it hasn't been a picnic. I will tell you, it's been extremely rough. And certain people did things not realizing. You know, one of the things we're here to do is the whole earth, we're getting the darkest parts off. The really dark characters who are not interested in rehabilitation, and they were placed here basically because it was a prison. But then I'm not even going to go into the entire global domination, global prison system issue. Also, it feels like I don't know if you can tell, but like it feels like the information isn't flowing the way it normally does. That's very interesting to me. I don't know quite why. I'm feeling like certain lines around my head clear. It's not flowing the way it normally does. That's very interesting to me. Anyway, I'm going to put this over here so I can keep it closer. So certain things are going to wind up coming together anyway, but and I will say the separation was necessary. We've experienced more of it than we needed to. So I don't want to make it seem like it was completely bad, because there was also a protective mechanism there. What we had put in place is a survival mechanism so that when things got very difficult during the separation, there was a sequence that was meant to be established. So, and there's a portion of the sequence that has gotten very intransigent and stuck, really stuck. So, because things didn't go the way, it just went longer than it had to. So, by several years. So we're busy bringing about a remedy. There's going to be more here. Okay, incoming. Hang on. Incoming message. There's going to be more on this later. I'm aware that there's somebody now that I need to give this message to. If you need to communicate with me, find a way to do it. Some of it I know that we're getting telepathic messages. It would really help. I feel like there's a reason somebody's not holding back, and I'm not taking it personally. I feel like there's a reason that's there. There's got to be a way to get messages to this person where it's not public. I feel like right now I'm getting straight lines. It looks like chopsticks in the air. It was not normally here. There's something's really interfering with the flow at the moment. Cancel. Bring the flow back. I want the flow to come back the way it normally does. Although, okay. So one of the things I was going to talk about is the reversal of the flow, because that's one of the things that we're doing, but I want to get back to the Lemurians. There's so the way they targeted me is to cut off my finances. Specifically, because we were supposed to go get a school, and that was going to give me free housing. I was going to be living there, not paying. So it was going to be addressing the housing issue. It was going to be addressing the, since I set the template and I go first, whatever happens with me happens with, and my voice is catching. will happen for everyone that comes behind me. So they tried to make sure that I was prevented from doing, from setting the template, because they want to keep control over all of the systems and all of the terrain. Because if I had gotten the school, I would have been living there, and that would have provided free housing, free electricity, a company vehicle. So I would have been doing that. I wouldn't have been paying into the insurance industry, etc. There was going to be food there. We were going to be growing food. So that is still going to go forward. It's going to go to a different location. And once again, we had to change the overall strategy and go about the same thing a different way. If you heard what I said about the toroidal field, I'm going to wind up talking about that. I feel as though, boy, I'm getting a lot of interference here. Just a second. I don't know if you can tell. Can you tell? It's not running the way it normally does. I want to because Sherry's on too. I'm getting too much interruption. I'm going to go shut him in the room, because I can hear him whining. Can you? But I also can't have him in my lap. I feel as though I'm going to wind up doing the live stream that I intended to do tonight with all of these diagrams. I want to be talking about the energetic construct and the way group energies work, because as we go up, the dynamics completely change, and you can't think of yourself as an individual anymore. You need to know how external forces, what appears to be external, the way it's going to affect your energy, and it has to do with harmonics. Trying to figure out what to do about this dog. Because I'm hearing him whine, and my tendency is to go, he's going to be upset no matter where I am. Okay. So they targeted my finances. So any negative can be flipped toward a positive. I will say that. So what I've been trying to avoid is going into a straight financial system, because I don't want to put my own energy into a standard model of finances and support. But there's a way to tweak. If you're forced into a situation where you have to do something, there's a way to manipulate the energy streams so that you're getting fed too. It's going to be a cooperative effort. So knowing that I need to merge my energy with a financial system, but I want it needs to be a cooperative effort that feels like a service, that is based in love and generosity, that is serving my own purpose beyond just a fear-based platform for survival. Because that's what we have had. We've had this thing where you have to keep pedaling to keep a roof over your head, and to keep, all of the stuff that is supposed to be gifted. We're trying to move the entire earth up into a higher vibration that is based in generative flow and love of service. So these energies have got to come in and merge with the financial model before everything actually becomes free, which it is going to. But there's got, it's like you have to meet your population where they are. You've got to meet the financial system where it is and get love into it, but not from a place of fear and peddling for survival, because that's out of the question. So it's very interesting. The last live stream I did, I was talking about my friend Cherie, who's a crystal expert extraordinaire, and she's going to be coming on We're trying to figure out exactly when that's going to happen. But this is the way spirit works. One of the things that I had said, I've been thinking about this for a while. Not that it's any of my business. I'm not trying to tell her what to do with her life. But I really wanted her to get back into surveys. You know, you've got this tremendous body of knowledge, and the world needs it. So I was very interested in having her go back. Like when I first met her, she owned a crystal store and crystal shop in Woodstock. And not only could you go there to experience the space and the crystals, but you could also go there to learn a lot. And she has this real gift where she can match a crystal with the person that's meant for. And I know from she's one of the people that I really will attest to, where she's not in it to make money. It's a gift. It's like she has an ability, kind of like a matchmaker. She's a little bit like a matchmaker. Like I know I can read your vibration, and I can get you the exact crystal you need. So I was very interested from my point of view, and interdimensional harmonics and, you know, ascension coach, etc. I really wanted her to go back to that because I think it would be the world. We need it. We need it a lot. So she knows that I was hit very, very hard. And my income was unfairly, very unjustly targeted on multiple fronts all at once. And it was dark force attack. And it was a crime. Some of it was a crime. Some of it was just incredibly unfair. But the dark forces are trying to get me to put my energy back into, they want to keep me held. And I've got a diagram to show the geometry of that because of they know that I go first. And if I get free, everyone of this particular knot, everyone that I'm attached to, we all get liberated together. So they really they've held on very tight to me. So anyway, Cherie knew that I was in an incredible financial bind, and we haven't had groceries, and we haven't had, you know, I'm tired of begging. I would like a secure flow. Anyway, she'll tell you when she comes on. I'm not sure when this is going to be, but she offered me today 3 old stock Lemurian seed crystals, which have been not used by other people and not programmed. So there are 3 of them. I put them on my, boy, I'm getting a lot of interference all of a sudden. Isn't that funny? On my page, on my wall, I put a photograph of the 3 of them. Very bad photograph. So I'm sorry about that. By the time I did it, it was already, aren't you lovely? It was already evening, so I have not gotten a chance to photograph them well. Remember I was showing you the other day, I held up my twin crystal, my twin Lemurian, and this is from like the same batch. They're, see all these strata? It's very light pink, very, very pale pink, but this is absolutely stunning. We've got 3 of them. So what it's 4444. Sorry, I'm getting a toe. Isn't this interesting? Why? Why is this? We're getting a transmission. Hang on. We're getting a transmission. Is it you? Are you giving us a transmission? So these have been not programmed by others. They're still holding their original programming. Bring it, yeah, okay, hang on a second. Cherie says, bring him out, he needs to be there. Okay, I'll bring it. Well, he stopped whining. Let's see. Let me hold up these two for a second. Aren't they lovely? So we're gonna have her on. The ridges, do you see the ridges? Where are they? See these ridges? I love this matte finish. Mine has that too. All of a sudden, my brain just went totally blank. I'm totally drawn to blank. Isn't that amazing? I think we're just getting a transmission. So, I'm gonna be in my. I'm sorry. Everything's lost. 1 second. I'm just gonna shut up for a second and let this thing do its job. You're lovely. I'm going to let you face this direction. The ridges are text. So if you have a Lemurian, you can run your fingers along the ridges and you get information. They transmit all of the original programming. So it's very interesting that I'm offering 3, right? It's a set of 3. So she's covering her cost, and she's not making a lot of money, I'm telling you. That's one of the things that I'm not saying that you're not supposed to, but I have a hard time. The same way I wouldn't like the idea of selling, like humans. I've never liked the idea of selling beings, but I do appreciate the idea of merging. So I really had to reframe it in my own mind. Merging this love energy toward getting the right beings together, linking the right beings together. So it becomes a merge as opposed to trafficking. It felt like, for a while, it felt like trafficking. So I know I am just so I'm gemstoned. It's true. I didn't like the idea of trafficking in beings, but since it's coming through, Cherie, like, it's not the same with anybody who sells crystals. If you're doing it to make money, it feels like trafficking. But yeah, he's whining. I'm gonna go get him. Hang on a second. See the ridges? That's all text. This is absolutely beautiful. So each and it's all the original programming. So they haven't been, they haven't had previous owners, and nobody. They're coming to do their job. So I really appreciate this. So 1 second, I'm going to tell you how much they are, and then what she's doing is she's covering cost, and she will mail it. So this is one way we're getting trust back into, I like this idea. We're getting trust back into the financial system. So what we're going to do is, if you decide that one of these is absolutely yours, no tire kickers, you can send me go on my wall and read what I wrote about it. If you decide that one of these is for you, where's the list? I think this one was it 165? I think this one was 165. She is covering just her cost and shipping, and then she's donating the rest to me because I have a dire financial emergency. Cancel. I have certain things that must be paid immediately, or we're going to lose I'll lose the internet in my, whatever. But 22 comments right now, and it's a 4. But this way we're getting the right being to whichever one of you it's there for. So we're using the financial system to rejoin beings. So I feel like I don't know what you're doing, but I feel like because I don't want to speak for the crystal, but I feel like on my part, I like the idea of the whole idea of beings being trafficked, if we're reversing that and putting love and trust into the system. Because what we're going to do is, if you decide one of these is yours, send me a message and you send her a check. And before she even, before she gets the check, she will send the stone within 24 hours. Like, she'll send the stone and then she will receive the check. So it's the energy of trust. So don't, make sure you're absolutely, like, if this is speaking to you right now and you're like, that's the one I want, and I definitely want to pay, this amount of money for it. How much was it? 1 second. I'm going to go let this dog out. 1 minute. Okay, please lie down. Find a spot. Find a location that's not my lap. Just lie down, buddy. Yeah, so 165 plus. We need to get at least 165 for it. If you can send more, it would sure come in handy right now. Again, hang on a minute. I wonder if there's a way. Absolutely beautiful. I love this one. I love them all. So this side is a little more matte. It's very clear though. Really beautiful. Look at that lovely faceting. Love that. You got that text. So if you decide this is for you, 165, and I will send me a private message, and I will send you Cherie's name and address, and you can send her a check, but she will give me the money immediately because she's a very good friend and she knows that I'm broke and I need to keep a phone. Well, actually my phone bill has been paid, but I need to keep the computer, etc. And I need to get my car insured, so that's that. And so this one is 195. There's the text. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. You are lovely. What do you have to tell us? You want to send a transmission out? You're beautiful. I love you so much. I do. Oh, love them. I just get lost in them, man. I just get lost in them. Yes, a nice pink one. There's this faint pink tinge. That's beautiful. Anyway, this one is 195. If you can donate more, that would be helpful. And this one, oh my goodness, for 250. For 250. This is beautiful. This is a bargain, man. They all are. They all are. Original stock. You don't find this very much. And so this one has got text there and text here. You are lovely. Oh, this beautiful matte surface. Yeah, it has got to be from the same. You traded them. Yes, exactly. She says she never sold stones. I traded them for rent money. Yeah. Oh, you're beautiful. Look at you. You're such a being. I could just commune with you all day. Look at that. Oh, this is so nice. Yeah, I really feel a presence with this one too. I really do. Hi. So this one is $250. You're beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you later. Oh, thank you very much. So Cherie's going to come on. We think, we're not entirely sure. Whoops. Sorry, Tosh. Just dropped my dry erase board on the dog. He's lying down. That's good. Okay. So now, it's finally, it's coming in better than it did. All right. So, Cherie's going to come on, and we're probably, we haven't decided really how to do it yet. I'm open to suggestions. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a different group. I don't know if I should do a different group or I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But somehow, so like Cherie and I went out to lunch today, and when my guides are talking to me, one of the ways it works is that I get what I call an affirmative, which is I will see lights. Like when somebody is talking, there will suddenly be like a burst of energy or a stream of information or someplace that's softer. And we were talking about, oh, I just got that incoming. Yes, totally. It's about you matching the right being to the right beat, using string. It's the reverse of human trafficking. It's what it is. We're getting into the human trafficking system by putting stones into the monetary system and linking the right beings together as opposed to the division. Yep. Nope. That's what it is. We're using it to reverse the energy of human trafficking. The process, I'm not saying like each individual stone is going to have its own job. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual, because I deal in social groups and social justice. That's what it's for. And what that's going to do is bring the financial system back to 0 point. We have to get, boy, energy is running in that direction. Isn't that interesting? I don't know if any of you can, like right now, I can't see the screen. I kid you not. It's coming from a huge swoop from that direction. Right now, there's so much light in this room that I can't see the wall. And I can't see the screen. And it came in running from that direction over to the door. So it has a human, freeing beings from over to the door. We're reverse engineering. I can't hear out of this ear. I'm hearing it's like deaf. It's just flushing. Like I'm. It feels like it's going through my freedom. I'm getting the word freedom and freedom flow. It's the reverse. We're reversing human trafficking, beings being trafficked, beings being sold. We're reversing it because everyone here is a volunteer, and it's going into the earth. Love from the earth. Why? What's with the direction? Flushing out. We're flushing it out. I'm just going to let this run for a minute. I'm so dizzy right now. Like I came on here and it was all linear, like I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do my talk, and I can't even read the comments right now. I have all of my little diagrams. They're like, nope, you're doing this. Cherie's going to come on and we're going to talk about stones. and get them to the right page. Oh, 5959. I just saw that. Looked at the clock and it was 5959. Okay. So shipping is on Cherie. Cherie pays for the shipping. So the price that you pay is the price that that I just mentioned. That's your cost completely, and the shipping is already included in that. Thank you, Camille. Cherie, sometime you're gonna have to meet Camille. Sometime I'm gonna have to meet Camille. Yeah. Okay, so it's clearing up a little bit now. I don't know if you could tell, but that was really a rush for a minute. But it's so funny that it all came out from the corner. Why is that? What is it about that? Because it came from the corner. I feel like that's significant. It came from the corner above the stove and went to the door. Why is that? It's like this part and went out that way. That was fascinating. So the last time I was on, we were talking about the 2 explosions that I'm still expecting. We haven't had that yet. There's been a lot of dark interference, a lot of dark attack. There is a sequence that's coming up, and we're going to have to talk about oh, this is another one. This one is really important, so I'm going to talk about this one now. Where's the other? Oh man, it got so not. And the other. Where's my other one? The Star of David. As go the Jews, so go Earth. That's what Cryon said, and it's true because there's. In the 3rd dimension, there's the geometry there, apart from the daisy of death, flower of life. Oh, come on, you guys. There you go. It's the geometry of containment, individuation. And then every layer you go up, there's another a different geometry. So I was talking about the toroidal field. This is a weird live stream, weirder than I thought. I feel like all of these things that I spent the day making, and I was interrupted earlier too, but I feel like I'm going to mention this one briefly, but I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. In the Star of David, the Star of David refers to the energetic construct that we came down in the Joan of Arc lifetime. We started the David lifetime, and then the Esther lifetime. I'm going to have to format this differently. I'm feeling a real stall, but it doesn't feel like a negative stall. It feels like it wants to be someplace else. The energy surrounding me is weird. It's unusual. I haven't experienced this before. I will say this. There are, and then I'm going to go off this pad instead, because the geometry and the illustrations, they want to be in. I feel like they want to be in a separate area. What we're coming up to is a major tipping point. Basically, we're going through the 11 gateway in smaller groups, but we're going to recreate basically the 100th monkey tipping point for the globe. And so there's a way that we've been changing kind of like the toroidal field, or the way things were flowing, and we were prevented from doing it the way it was going backwards. So I will go back to this. What we were trying to do was figure out why the harvest for Earth was so incredibly terrible. Because nobody was ascending to the this is going back. We've been working on this over eons and eons. we knew we had to get through the ascension window with as many souls as possible, but none of them were making their evolutionary progress in time. There was just so much interference, it became a prison planet. So one thing we're doing is, because they reversed everything, it became incredibly difficult to get out this way. And that's why, like, this is kind of like the savior model, where you can only get out, like, you know how Christ said, you can get out through me. I'm like, I'm the Son of God and you must go get out through me. That's because it was this savior model. That's an example of the toroidal field running like it's the wrong way. What we have to do is, if you merge these things together, you're going to first you're going to get the Star of David. You know, it's like you've got a triangle on top of another triangle. And it starts out like this in separation. You still have the two triangles that I've talked about before, like the blade and the chalice. But then if you merge those two things together and you keep going, you eventually go all the way through like this 11 gateway. And if you keep going, you eventually get union, and it's a diamond pattern instead. You still maintain the two extremes, right? Like the two extremes of, you still have a tiny bit of extreme dark because you need it in the spectrum. And you still have a tiny bit of pure light because you need that in the spectrum also. But everything else is embraced and in the whole. So you move back to unity. And then in the middle, this is still a permeable barrier. Remember we were talking about the ladder? Because energy takes the path of least resistance, but those in the physical model, they rely on form to move forward. So it kind of keeps everyone comfortable. But what we're really after is a different geometry. You're still keeping the authenticity of each, but it allows for freedom of movement, as opposed to having a savior figure that says you have to, you can only go up through an intermediary. Anyway, I explained that very badly. I'm going to talk about this the rest of the month because all of a sudden I can't talk. I'm going to see how much of this I can get out. I think what I'm going to do, she said, this is a weird live stream. I'm going to talk about as many of these as, yes, when Cherie comes on, we're going to talk about gemstones and their ability to anchor in universal understanding. Yeah, bring 7D into 3D reality in layman's terms. And 3D is not even anchored anymore, but yeah. Start like a gemstone education. Also, if you have questions, you can ask her anything and she knows everything. So now I'm going to talk about, I was talking about walk-in children. So the issue of prodigies has really been on my mind a lot. When we have these mass, there is going to be a flash event, a big jolt. And a lot of souls, not everybody's going to see it, but a lot of souls are going to abruptly leave like en masse, because the energy is going to come in, it's going to be so high that there's going to be kind of a flood leaving, but then those bodies are going to be kind of taken over by an incoming wave of volunteer souls who want bodies up and running immediately. And those souls are bringing in a ton of the new technologies and just new exciting things, that just their own mission work. I was going to say that I spoke to somebody who's, I think she's around 65 or so. And she was told, she was a walk-in, so was her husband. And she was told that she and her husband will be getting 6 children. Who, and please don't go into fear over this. It's a, soul contract, and it's all going to be beautiful and perfect. So don't use this as an excuse to go into fear. I personally, I find it really exciting. I would love more children. But she was told that she and her husband, who have no children, will be receiving 6 children whose parents are leaving, but the children themselves want to stay and work. They came to work they came to Earth to work. But they need parents. So she and her husband are going to be getting 6 children. So depending on who you are, that could really either petrify you or really get you excited. I would love some more. I want a whole school full of them. Anyway, a lot of people are going to find that the path of least resistance. But then, so the interesting thing about what were previously called prodigies, and I know because I've been one in many lifetimes, where you come in with such a gift that in the past I found it to be an incredibly painful existence. As much as, because I loved my work. I loved to play the piano. I loved to play the organ. I loved to play the violin. I just loved music, and I would do it for 21 hours a day. And my abilities were so unusual that I literally had no peers. I had no friends of my own age. And it was one of those things that I had a terrible, painful existence. I had a lot of friends when I was older. I was surrounded by friends when I was older. But as a child, it was an incredibly lonely childhood, except I didn't care because I had piano, and I had my mentor. It was Maurice Brown in this lifetime, was Maurice Green in that lifetime. And I was very close to him, but all of the people that I knew were adults, and it was a very isolating. Isolation is really where the pain is. It also can be sometimes where you find your solace. It was easier for me to be alone with animals and music. But it was one of those things where it's like nobody treats you normally, like the whole idea of child stars and Disney. It's one of those things that you had to go into a certain type of existence over and over and over. I've done this in many lifetimes to really understand it in order to figure out a way to solve it. My whole job on the planet is multidimensional harmonics and how to bring unity to the entire spectrum without leaving anybody behind, because it's one of those things that it's difficult. That's why this diagram is important, because most people are going to be in the middle, and very few people are going to be at the rock bottom where you can't do anything with them, but they still need love. Incredibly slow, or for some reason, far outside the norm on the one side. And then you've also got the other side where you've got like a Mozart or someone who's really so weird, so out in just left field where nobody can really touch you, kind of like a Secretariat where you've got that 3 to 1. It's not really 3 to 1 ratio, but he won by 31 lengths over all of the rest of the pack, who were themselves the top of their field, and he's still 31 lengths ahead of them. That kind of thing can also be extremely isolating. I was master of the King's Music when I was 11, and I beat out 40 other adult contenders for this one professional job, and I was considered the best in the world at that. But I had no peers, and it became an incredibly isolating thing. It's really a trade-off. And if you wanted to fit in, you had to sacrifice the part of you that excelled, the part of you, the thing that you loved the most. And you should never have to sacrifice what you love the most in order to fit in, and cut your own head off in order to be shorter and fit in. That's absurd. So my job, from having experienced all of these things, is to come back in this lifetime and figure out a way to have everyone, no orphans, no orphans. There's room for everyone. We have to figure out a way to do it. That's my job. I feel very strongly about everyone fits somewhere. Everyone fits somewhere. So the idea of the whole educational system needs adjustment, radical adjustment. We're here to do this too. For some reason, I feel like I don't know why, I need to mention this. When I was John Stanley, one of the, I don't know why. One of the things I never understood, I feel like it was a thing that was misunderstood overall. I have several memories from that lifetime. And in this lifetime, I'm not allowed to do music either. I don't know why. I feel like I need to mention that now. I'm getting a thing on the back of my head. In this lifetime, I had a natural, very strong affinity to where I always wanted to play the piano. So much, I had such a yearning to do it. And when I was about 6, in this lifetime, I had asked for piano lessons. And my parents actually agreed to give me piano lessons, which was rare because they didn't really give me lessons. But the first day when I was 6, I went to the piano teacher's house. My mother brought me after school, and she dropped me off and left. And when I sat down at the keyboard, I put my hands on the keyboard and like passed out. I slumped over. I immediately fell completely asleep for the duration of the session time, the lesson time. And when I vaguely remember this, my piano teacher holding my hands and saying, "Come on, Stephanie, come on, you can't be that tired." And then she finally picked me up and carried me to the couch. And my mother, I slept through the whole thing. Slept like hard, unnatural. And my mother came to pick me up, and the piano teacher, that was fine. I was absolutely fine. And the piano teacher said, "Well, we'll try again next time." The same thing happened the following time. I sat down, and as soon as I touched the keyboard, I slumped over. It was just out. And now, I had a session with Steve Rother one time, like when I was maybe 30. And he said, "Yeah, you came back for something specific this time, and you can't do anything. It would be such a deep groove that I would immediately fall into that I have to be prevented from doing that this lifetime, because I have a targeted goal, and it's this. I can't go veering off and doing what I really want to do." But I really want to do that. At any rate, I know that I'm not allowed to do it for the duration of this lifetime, but it makes me sad because I really do miss it a lot. It makes and big choruses. I was a composer in that lifetime, and I composed operas, and I have a CD of my old music. I have a couple of CDs, and it's funny. I remember some of that, and I remember some of Maurice Green was my mentor, and in this lifetime he was my painting instructor, Maurice Brown, at SUNY New Paltz. Phenomenal painting, best mentor, best teacher ever. And this lifetime, I know that I meant to write a book, but apart from the fact that my guides told me. But when my guides told me, because I had never done any writing at all, but Maurice Brown in this lifetime, who was Maurice Green in that lifetime, and every single lifetime I have with him, he is my mentor who guides me onto my professional path. He was Joan of Arc's mother. the one who taught her first prayers and made sure she got to church. He was Joan of Arc's mother. Then he was Maurice Green when I was John Stanley, and he was my mentor. And I started studying with him when I was 6. He taught me to play the piano, taught me to play the organ, and then we both went to Oxford. And then in this lifetime, he was my painting professor. And I was a professional artist, but he's the one in a private conversation. I was writing him letters. We were writing letters back and forth, and he said, you should be a writer because it seems like you've been writing all along. And he's written a book. He said, it seems like you've been writing all along, and I think you have a book in you. And then my guides told me that I was going to write a book, and it had a guaranteed worldwide audience. Anyway, so I haven't written it yet. It's like it's still in little pieces all over the place, but I know it's coming. And then I thought back to, because when Maurice Brown first said it, I was like, I don't write anything. But just because he said it, he's one of those people, like if he says it, I would dismiss it out of hand if anybody else said it. But if he says it, like I take that guy, everything he says, like he knows me. And when he tells me to do something, I'm like, chop, chop. Okay, I will give it a shot, because he knows all about like my insecurities, and he just really gets me. And if he tells me to do something, I'm like, I take it very seriously. Very much like when Cherie gives me a stone and she's like, this goes to you. I'm like, okay. Even if I was telling, it's so funny. I was talking to her about that today. I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent because I still want to talk about prodigies. But yeah, I'm going to leave that for another time. There was one time she told me that I needed a stone, and I was totally repelled by it. It turns out she was right. I just didn't want to be grounded. I didn't. She's like, you need the smoky, and I didn't want to get a smoky. I like them. I like the really high staffy ones that match me. It feels like home. The ones that are like way up there, and that feels like home, and I want those. And she's like, no. But anyway, she's right. So there are times when it's like you always want to say go with your own guidance, but then there's some times when it's like an intervention. Enough of the sugar. Have some greens. All right. For some reason, I'm getting nudged to tell this one other prodigy story. It has to do with when I was John Stanley. John Stanley, that lifetime came after the John lifetime, and I had to. I don't know if you're aware of this. So all lifetimes are concurrent because we don't actually have time. The timeline is actually it's not one linear thing. All lifetimes are concurrent, but what you do have, it's a spiral. And so if the static timeline on 3 is like, it's like one line, and we experience it in a linear way, but the way it kind of works is that it takes you to the geometry. Like there's a window too, where and Marie-Therese and I were talking about this a lot, where sometimes like, oh God, I've got about 4 different subjects. They're all intertwined. How do I get this information out? Okay, I will say it this way. Do you remember, if you've been following my wall for a while, you may have seen that I put last year at this time, on August 7th, Aluna Ash posted a video about global fame, karmic fame. And when she posted it, I was like, I know that's me. I said it, and a lot of other people said it too. And even in the thing, she's like, this isn't one person, it's a group. So there's karmic global fame. So I know that it's related. I know that it's related to me. I recognized it. And I'll post it again, but she posted it on August 7th. So in the video, she mentions a 3 to 6 month window. So I recognized that as being for me. And so I like waited my 3 to 6 months, and I'm like, where the hell? Because one of the things she says is that this person, so pay attention to this part, you're gonna love this part. She says this person goes from having nothing, being totally broke, barely making ends meet, barely getting by, to having everything and being so well known around the world. So since I was on welfare when that happens, I'm like, yeah, man. Plus I recognize that that's me. So I'm waiting for the 3 to 6 months, to pass. Like, where's my global thing? I'm doing the work. And I'm not really trying to get followers. I'm not really pursuing it hard, but I'm kind of, I'm like, all right, I'm doing my posts. I'm, keep going. So we've experienced this delay. So what happens is on the timeline, it's a spiral. It's like a fruit roll up or like a roll of cellophane. And, it's just a roll. It's like a roll of carpet. And sometimes these dates pass, and the next time it comes around, it's not, because everything is now expanded. It's going to, you're going to get a window as opposed to a specific date. So like like August 7th of last year, we know that it's coming around, but because of the geometry, if the date is down here, the next time it comes around is on the next layer up. So you're going to get a window from like just before to just after. And then if you don't make that window, it's going to go around again. And this time the window is going to be even broader. So the further, this is where you get like the issues of geometry really come in, because if this is the static timeline and you go, it doesn't actually work this way, but it works to illustrate the point. If you go up in dimension this far and it's an equilateral triangle, your window broadens. That's one of the reasons why it's very difficult from a very high perspective to accurately predict a date. The people who get accurate dates are usually people like a police psychic or someone like that who is they pull their information from very close to the surface. It works like where you draw your information from really affects, like the kind of information you get only exists in certain strata. So if you want very high level spiritual advice about your overall life path, don't ask a police psychic or somebody who's down at the bottom. They might be able to find a missing person, because they're going to look for specific material information, specific information. So that's the level where you find that kind of information. If you want very high spiritual guidance, you would go to someone like me, because my information, I will pull it only from up here, and I don't have any of this information from below, like the lower two strata. I don't get there. I can't see it psychically. I just can't see it. Like, I have no idea, but I can do all kinds of crazy things with very high level, very big energy before, as it comes into elements. Like, I can make elements in energetic form and then send them down so that they arrive in a form. But I'm never quite sure exactly where they have landed. I will need to actually, that's one of the interferences I was prevented at this time. It's not going to be this way forever. Like, I'm going to wind up being able to reach the lower two levels. I think. Is that true? I'm not sure. At least that's what I think so far. I think when I'm fully embodied, like when my twin and I come together, I'm going to be fully embodied, or at least I'll be able to get information from him. But right now, because there's this hard divide, I can't see any of that. Like I can feel things, but I'm unable to tell exactly where it is in form, which is why I can see, like, in the soul group, I can see where it's going, like the river headed in that direction, and it's located in this region, but I can't tell exactly, like, which person it went to. And that's been frustrating as all get out, especially like if you're trying to identify who the threat is, like who is the stalker. Like I can feel, you know, like two women and one man, and I can feel the elements, but I don't know which one of you are doing it. You know, like one of you people, kind of like that. Anyway, where was I going with this? I forgot. Oh, I started to talk about prodigies a little bit. I don't know why I'm getting this story. Somebody must need to hear it. There was a, yeah, I guess it relates to group dynamics. It does. Okay, that's it. One of the things that happens, no, they're saying tell this story first. Okay. When I was John Stanley, I didn't know any other, I knew very few other children, and the children that I did know, or my peers, I had virtually nothing in common with them. And it's like adults treated me weird. They treated me like, there's this tendency to handle you differently, or they want something, or they you know, it's like if you've ever, I feel really bad for like kids who are pushed into show business or something. If you really, really want to be there, that's one thing, but then examine it. Like examine why you want to be there. What are you after? If it's just because you really love to do that thing, there needs to be a forum for that. There needs to be a place that's safe for you to explore an extreme ability and take it as far as you can go without being held back by the rest of the group, because that is a crime. It has always been very natural for me to do things in very large chunks, and it's very extremely uncomfortable for me to do, like, some people will say, like, well, you just got to do a little bit every day. I can't work that way. I have an incredibly difficult, it's very painful for me to work that way. I had to take a class in high school where it was for the newspaper. So I didn't sign up for it. Somehow I got put in this class where you were supposed to write something for the school paper. And as long as it was in installments, I wanted to write an astrology column, something about it. And instead of doing, it was just easier for me. Instead of going to this terrible environment, this terrible class, it was easier for me to do weekly installments for the whole year and hand it in as a chunk than it was for me to just sit there and just painful. Kind of like it's easier for me to say a whole sentence and just, telepathy is easier, and passing off something in a global holistic way is easier than even getting into linearity. You know, for those of us who start out in space and trying to come down into a linear form is really painful. And it's kind of like, imagine if you had to reduce your speed of communication to such a degree that you had to spell out your conversation, and there had to be a 3-second pause between each letter. And then it's like, I forget it. It just, I can't stand it here. So you build up this immense amount of frustration, and that's why, you know, you've got like these autistic kids who just have it's it's like there's too much stimulation, but none of it is right. And I just want to be, I can't stand the confinement. And you get a huge amount of conflict that winds up erupting. It's a matter of orchestrating the flow and being in an environment that you can tolerate, where people work with you. And you're with others who understand. When I was John Stanley, I didn't have children friends, and I didn't have adults either. The adults wanted me to do something, except for Maurice Brown, but still he was an adult, like my teacher when I was 6. you can be close, but you can only be so close. So it's like you're perpetually this outsider. But then if you want peers, you have to you're asked to sacrifice the thing that you love the most. And I remember this from being John Stanley, showing up one time. There was some kind of it wasn't really a competition really, but there was some kind of a competition, or it didn't seem like a competition to me, but I remember being escorted. Like there was some kind of a thing where it must have been something like a competition. But I didn't care. It was more like there was a gathering of other children who played the piano seriously. And I was excited. I was so excited to go. Like one of the things, like, it's coming up, so you're really, really looking forward to it. And I wasn't looking forward to, I didn't give a rat's ass about winning or who did well. I just wanted other kids who played. I was so excited for that, so eager to go. And we arrived, and I was well known. And we had people, they left. They left because I arrived. And to them, it was something like a competition. It wasn't a competition to me. I was in there for the community. I wanted the unity. I wanted the connection. And when I arrived, people quit and left, like, well, she's got it. She's going to, I was a he at that time. Why bother was the feeling. And several people didn't even play because of me, because I showed, like, if you're going to be here, that's it, forget it. Well, there's going to win anyway. So they quit. They left. They actually left because I showed up. And I remember that feeling, that I was so heartbroken and hurt that even among my peers, I can't find anybody to just connect to that does the same thing. There were some kids that played, and they weren't anywhere near as good as I was, but it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. That really, truly, honest to God, wasn't why. I was just there for joy. I was there for joy. And I just wanted everyone to play. I thought it was the best thing in the world. And the reason I got so good is because I loved it so hard. I just loved it so much. It's love that is the propulsion. So it's this kind of thing that we need to get back into every other system. Every other system. And it's also the message that we need to get into the educational system, because you can't be beaten at your own game, ever. It also shouldn't be couched that way. It's just absurd. It's absurd. Anyway, either somebody needed to hear it or I needed to say it. But overall, there's this thing where the drive, like I keep going back to Secretariat, who just loves to run. Like that's the thing. If there's, I can't even remember what race it was. Was it the Belmont or Preakness? I don't think it was the Kentucky Derby. I think it was the Belmont. It might have been the Belmont. I don't remember. But if what he wanted to do was win, he could have beaten the rest of the pack, who were also the best, the next best, 31 lengths behind him. But if what he wanted to do was win, you know, he could have won by quite a bit if he had been 2 lengths ahead. He won by 31 lengths. And it's because he loved it more than they did. Also, it's notable. I think his heart was like twice the size of a normal horse. And what does that tell you? Every force evolves a form. There is a kind of propulsion. I've totally experienced this, where you actually wind up picking up speed I love that. I absolutely love it. Who doesn't? Where instead of running out of speed, it relates to this. It's the damn geometry. If you start from a platform of love and you go toward expansion, you're going to pick up speed, and it's going to get more and more and more and more, and the love is going to be more generative. And this is the foundation of the educational system, and the toroidal field, when it's flowing properly, runs this way, where everyone gets fed, and you just can't wait to do the thing you love, to do it more and more and more and more. We just need to get the proper forum. If you make it a competition and it's about one person is gonna win, you're gonna get automatic separation. It should never be a choice between how much you love. Don't love that hard. Find somebody who can keep up with you on that level. That's really what you have to do. Find someone who can keep up with you on that level. And then just keep it going. You can flip everything that way. So that actually does bring me back to tomorrow. I know I say this every single freaking time. I say it every time. Tomorrow I'm going to do another live stream, but I am. No, really, I am. Calico's not home in the morning. I think I'm going to try for a live stream at 11 o'clock, because I want to talk about the energetic construct, the toroidal field, and talk about the way this works, because we're just about to do a flip, and it goes, it's upside down. It goes this way. But I just went out and I got another pad of paper. So I'm going to talk about energetic dynamics. The whole twin flame. So many of us are getting unenamored, unenamored with that term, because it just, like everything else, it has, like, on every level you go, it changed, the meaning changed, and now depending on who you talk to, it means something different. Well, but it does do that, like the whole the format does change. Nonetheless, there are actual twin flame pairs who not twin echoes, who came down in extreme polarity to do a particular job of flipping the planet. So there's a way that we're flipping it. And I'm supposed to talk about the energetic construct and explain the way the toroidal field is being flipped. Flipping the planet. And what it's going to do is flip the systems from one of base that's based in lack, you know, like as above, so below, except like the lower system just it closes in on itself, and so it's based in lack and based in restriction, and everybody starves and it turns very very much like a vampire. It becomes a succubus, and it dies. It's totally non-viable. You need to go from you can take all the same elements and locate them differently, and as long as they're placed differently, you're going to get a clean flowing system that allows for diversity. Yeah, it allows for diversity, and everyone gets fed, but it's going to run. It's going to run properly. So what else do I have here before, what time is it? Oh my God, it's later than I thought. I usually try to be in bed by 9:30. Hang on. Yeah, there's about to be a hairpin turn. August 7th is coming around again. So for those who resonated with that Aluna Ash video from last year, it's coming around again. And I'm feeling like it's much, much closer this time as well. Oh, so this is one thing I wanted to say. So spirals amplify. So if we're talking about the timeline, this is one of the reasons, certainly not the only reason, but one of the reasons that dark interference should know better. They probably do. But for those low-level dark, okay, let me rephrase that. Dark forces, what they will do is hang out in the fourth dimension, and they will work through susceptible people. They try to not land in human bodies because they will create karma for themselves. So what they do is they use others. They will prey on someone who's fearful, who has a bloodline or something that they can easily get a large percentage of their energy through. So this is why there are certain bloodlines that can carry a higher percentage. Like a royal bloodline will be able to carry a higher percentage of certain energies. That's not limited to dark reptilians or anything. We use that too. If we see a way I'm going to explain that tomorrow too. That's one of the diagrams that I meant to do today and I didn't get around to it. I want to talk about templates, personal templates, and templates for groups. In this, in the Joan of Arc lifetime, I was bringing in an individual template that you can choose your own ingredients to make yourself. So your first creation is yourself, and everything else is going to radiate from you. So you have to be careful what ingredients you make, you choose. It's the same with societies too, but there's a group dynamic. I'm going to have to talk about this. It becomes really a difficult thing to talk about easily. A lot of it is cross-referenced. So a lot of the people that do dark things are extremely absorbent to forces that they can be used as vessels. I'm one of them. I'm way absorbent to, like on the top end, I came in with certain geometry in and within an energetic construct, a group dynamic that allows, where I play a particular role and other people play their particular roles. What dark forces will do is they will find, same way we do it on the light side too, we do the same thing. We will look for a way to get our energy to where we want it to go by sending it through people. And that's the same way synchronicity works too. So it's not like the action itself is evil. The action has the meaning that you give it. We will look for something that has a similar frequency, and we will send a river of energy to a given location. So that's why, like, it's important to know, like, what energy this. You can kind of read read objects and see what energetic ingredients make it up. And then if I had to, let's say I wanted to get a particular frequency over to so-and-so without me picking it up and carrying it to her, if I wasn't in a body, if I was in the fourth dimension hanging out, I would send somebody whose mind is open to say, like, go pick up this green cup because that person over there needs this frequency of green, or they need this shape, or they need something that's some kind of frequency needs to get to that person. So we would have some absorbent person suddenly say, mindlessly, maybe just get steered to suddenly get the urge to pick this thing up and walk past that person and say, hey, I brought you a cup of coffee. That's the way things work. Where was I going with this? Dark forces will look for an avenue by which they can achieve their aims. So they will look for, since it's dark forces, they're going to look for, I always say a bruise on the banana. They're going to look for some dark, they're going to see, read your energy, and it's going to look like a little bit like an X-ray. It's like everything you contain and that is you, and it looks a little bit like an X-ray energetically on that level where you can see dark areas. Have you ever seen, like for those of you who see auras, there's one level that you can see shifting colors if you're looking at somebody's energetic field. There's also another level that you can just look at their dark and light areas. Like medical intuitives do this. They would look to see, to scan somebody's body and see where the dark areas are, and that's where there's usually an illness. And you can tell by how dense the darkness is to what degree that darkness is solidified. So dark forces from the fourth dimension will come down and they will see fear, or they'll see who has they're out to get a bigger harvest. So you know that we're a fear farm on this planet. We have been a fear farm on this planet. And it's very much to them, to the dark forces, it works like factory farming. So what they do, and it's easy to relate to it. So one of the ways we're going to diffuse it is by finding a commonality to stop making the other side our enemy. We don't need to see the dark side and identify them as an enemy. There has been enough battle. What we need now are peacemakers and understanding. We don't have to adopt that. We have to see what's happening so that we can calmly make a choice. So what the dark side is going to do is no different from what farmers on this planet have traditionally done with livestock. There are certain breeds of pigs, for example, who have a higher concentration of belly fat. And so if you want to harvest something like bacon, you could say, like a Monzolitna pig. Monzolitna? I think that's the breed. There's a it's a type of hairy pig. I think it's from Hungary, if I'm not mistaken. And they're particularly prized for bacon. They have their flesh has a particular quality, particular taste that's very prized for a particular purpose. So do human beings. What I'm about to say is probably fairly controversial. I'm just telling you the way it operates. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying this is the way that it has worked. Certain populations, certain human populations have been cultivated and society has been orchestrated in order to farm certain populations' demographics for certain brands of negative energy. If they want terror, the dark forces, if they want particularly, this is horrible. I'm trying to stay out of judgment. it's a trigger for me. Cancel. I need to be able to talk about it from a place of neutrality so that that goes out, because if we lose our from a high perspective, from a higher level, you must remain emotionally neutral about it. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you can't care from a perspective up there, because that's a very creative realm. If I go into fear or anger, what's immediately created is instant fear and anger that is going to amplify what's down here. So I have to stay emotionally neutral from a high level, but it's important to remain at a high level so that I can actually see what the fuck's going on. That's why when I say I'm here for mass migrations, I can't be emotionally attached or feel a flash of anger. That's why all of the purging that is happening on the planet is going on in the third dimension. You have to do it. You have to be down there. That's where all the stuff, the emotional, the breaking up of the asphalt, etc., all of the huge emotional reactions are exactly that. They're reactions. You have to have that from that level, because all this crap has got to be purged and processed and felt and dealt with before you rise to a creative level where there must be peace. Because once you're in a creative place, if you want a peaceful world, don't recreate the old one where there's a lot of anger and a lot of blame or shame or guilt or whatever the fuck it is. You need to stay in a place of love so that you can transmute the darkness when you get there. Any darkness that winds up showing up, you're going to need to keep it steady. But so for the time being, it's my job to just be the messenger from a place of being completely emotionally neutral and see what the hell's going on. On the Council of Balance, which I was on with my twin, that took place in the 12th dimension, and that was very much like a chessboard. And in that dimension, on the council, we have statues actually that are made of a substance that help keep us stabilized, and it also amplifies our telepathy. And that's to prevent us from going into any kind of flinch. Like if anything happens and we get upset, we can't have that. The place to get really upset and really angry is all in as low as possible. Number one, there's a safety mechanism in place, because if you get very angry, your vibration automatically drops. So you can be thankful for that. So what I started to say, please don't write me hate mail. At the human population, in fact, all populations, but I'm talking about human population because this is one thing that I haven't seen talked about a lot. Different sections of the human population produce qualities of negative energy that they use it's their food source. The same way we have different varieties of love, and the Eskimos have like 27 different names for snow. And we have all of these different, just these different characteristics, these different qualities that love can take. That's important to us, and we will do things to make sure we get one or the other. Sometimes you want something very maternal, and sometimes you want, there's romantic love, there's agape, and the love of God for humanity and humanity for God, supposedly the purest form there is. All kinds of different love. And we will go out of our way to cultivate a pure form that we're seeking. The dark side does that too. And on this planet, we have been a fear farm. So one of the things they've done, if they want a particularly pure energy of terror, fear that's extremely pure, they target children. children's vibrations before they hit puberty. After puberty, they might still be children, but they go through a vibrational shift so that it's diluted. So they target very young children to terrify. That's why they're trying to imprison the planet by doing a lot of these things at specific, had been doing these things in specific places in the planet, ley lines, hubs, where they could spread the very pure energy of repressed children, terrified children, etc. And I will also tell you, this is the really controversial, it's all horrible. The reason, spirals amplify. Every time you have a spiral, it's an amplifier of energy. Every time you have a curve, even if the curve, what a neutral curve is? A neutral curve is a circle. The circle that has no speed to it, it's even all the way around. That's going to give you the tightest amplification, the greatest degree of amplification. Sharp turns, that amplifies quickly too, but one of the things they've done is to target Black men for anger. Not because Black men are inherently more angry. That's not why. What they're after is they've suppressed the Black population overall. That was a targeted thing because they're after negative energy, and in hair. Hair is also antenna. What they're trying to do is get the hairier. The more hair they have, the more they like it. It produces a kind of, it's an amplification, an intensifier of that kind of energy. So they're trying to get as much out of it. It's like finding some variety of orange or something that you can get more juice out of this one. You can squeeze this kind and this kind equally, but you're going to get more juice out of the one because of this particular quality. And that's one of the reasons they've done that to the Black populations, because they've got curly hair, and it amplifies it. Maybe not on an individual level, because you could say, oh, they braid their hair, they shave their heads or whatever. It doesn't matter. Overall, as a populace, they've tried to get a larger yield. And by and large, they've succeeded, of anguish. They're trying to get anguish out of this population. Same way they're trying to get anguish out of the other, young children. They're trying to terrify them to get a very, in addition to adrenochrome and things like that, but they're trying to get a particular kind of energy. And then because the axis of our planet was tipped deliberately, they harvest it. They harvest all of the energy, and they've done that. They've done things like that to our weather patterns too. We're designed to like give a drought to this entire region for an extended period of time, because overall it's going to produce low-level anxiety or high-level anxiety to almost everything. California is in not now, but like when California had a very, very large, lengthy drought, the plants were very stressed, the animals are stressed, the people are stressed. It's all about restriction, restriction, restriction. But what that does, it's like it's squeezing everybody, and everyone goes into anxiety that feeds and feeds and feeds. And what it does too is Southern California, you've got the entertainment industry, and now it's going out across the world. So it's an energetic, they're trying to milk the energy one way or another. One thing I'm good at is following energetic strategy. Plus I was on the Council of Balance, so sometimes I just know what they did. And my job on the Council of Balance was to make moves for the light side. Like, well, if you're going to do this, we're going to do this other thing. We try to counterbalance it to keep it all balanced. We do have the right to liberate the planet so it's functioning again. But you can't tell something that it does not have the right to exist. We can't cancel them out or annihilate them. Plus, if we were to annihilate, you can't. They're going to go someplace. You know, it's going to transfer the problem someplace else. The best thing you can possibly do is alleviate the imbalance so that it functions well, so that it produces growth for all parties. Health. You know, you don't want things to be completely comfortable all the time, because you need a certain degree of resistance for contrast and growth, and to, you know, for learning, etc. Oh, that's right. I was going to talk about the way karmic debt works. Hang on. As above, so below. I think I might end here and then come on tomorrow. Yeah. I feel like I may come on. I think I'm going to say I'm going to come on tomorrow at 11 and do the rest of it, because I'm tired now. And whatever it was, I'm just going to go with it. I feel as though I'm actually, now that you mentioned it, I mentioned it. I'm talking to myself. Aren't we all? We're always talking to ourselves. If you are interested in either donating directly, please do. I'm going to put, with this live stream, I'm going to put a, I'll post my PayPal thing. But don't pay for these on PayPal. Send me a message that that you would like to purchase it, and then you need to write a check to Cherie. And if you want to purchase one of these, I picked him up and I got spacey, man. It's true. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do this so I can talk and do this at the same time. We'll figure it out. But I do feel like we're doing something with human trafficking, because it came up, didn't it? It really feels as though we're taking high-level energy and putting it into that system and reuniting beings and freeing beings at the same time. Through the yes, I'm getting that now. Through the financial system. We're using the financial system toward freedom instead. Thank you. That's why I pointed toward the door. Thank you. It took me a second to get that. Okay, that's why. I was wondering why that was. Remember earlier, Tina Hammond just joined. Earlier, when I was first holding these things up, and I said, for some reason, there was a rush of energy that came from that corner and it went out toward the door. I'm getting a big affirmative. They're clearing. Like right now, I can't see the screen again. They're saying high-level beings are going to come in and go through. We're flushing it out. We're flushing out the dirt. So the children are coming. That's one message I kept getting earlier. The children are coming. The children are coming. So we're expecting the walk-ins, but we're also expecting a lot of these beings to go into the financial system to get to the right people who are watching me. If you buy them through this venue, our intention is not to make money, but to actually get the appropriate tools to each one of you toward the purpose of all of us. It's an act of benevolence and service, and it's also caring for one another in a loving way. That's really the main goal. And I hope that if you're watching me, you know me well enough now that it's not about profit. It's much more about service. There's trust, right? And I will also say that I will only ever work with volunteers. So I'm not ever gonna, I would never take something from the wild, first of all, without asking permission, asking for volunteers. I'm a big fan of asking for volunteers. Like, I need an ally for this purpose. Will you join me? And it's all about making connections and allies. That's something I'm going to talk more about because I feel very strongly about that. You don't keep animals in captivity, but without consent. Consent is sacred. You all know that. I don't know why I'm yelling at you. Consent is sacred. But the animal kingdom, the natural kingdom, is very eager to assist. They just want some respect. It's really, if you honor them and you say, will you help me with this endeavor? This is what I'm trying to do. The vast majority will say yes. And they will agree to, because they know how it works. The ones that have been taught that it doesn't work this way, we're the ones that have kind of forgotten in a lot of ways the way it works. But you're volunteers, aren't you? You're happy to be of service, I can tell. I love them. I love them. I'm going to snuggle with them. I'm going to visit with them and talk to them. So, and then whoever, so I appreciate you and your service too, because here, where's the other one? I want to see all three of them. There you are. You're nice. Hi. You're lovely. I like you. We're friends, aren't we? Huh. Okay. So they have all, agreed, right? Here, look at the other way. They've all agreed that they're willing to help support me. So if you purchase one of them, I would appreciate it. It will help me maintain my live streams. And then Cherie's going to come on, and she's going to wind up delivering some news. And you can ask questions when she comes on. I think it's going to be next Friday. We're trying to leave it open because you know the way it works now. It's like you make an appointment and something comes in half the time. We're aiming for next Friday. Plus her schedule is changing, but the sooner she can come on, we can deliver some great information. She's going to be my first guest on a live stream. Well, actually, that's not true because I actually make it a point to have guests every live stream. But like my first person, my first other human. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not true because I had Stephanie from up the street. Okay, my first adult guest. There you go. And she's going to talk too. All right. If you would like one of these, send me a private message. And I love you all. I will see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. Bye.